Hello, 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 and welcome to Inspire, Innovate, Ignite. And it's hosted by sacredyou.love. Now, the amazing thing about sacredyou.love and these incredible panel discussions is that we bring a topic, a wonderful, exciting, unique topic. We invite experts to join us and talk about their expertise within the topic. And tonight we have 2 out of 4. We were supposed to have 4 panelists with us, but technical difficulties from around the world made it impossible for 2 of them to join us. They may join us later if they are able, but at the moment, we have 2 amazing panelists. Our topic tonight is, are you ready for this? Embracing your playful heart to win friends, lovers, and all you wish. I'm Sue Rumack, and I'm a facilitator tonight. Our experts bring their expertise, and if you are watching, please put it in the put your questions in the chat. If you're on us with us on Zoom, raise a hand, let us know you're here, put the comments there as well, and perhaps you'll even join in our conversation. It's happened, and it's been magical. So, do you know that your playful heart is your own Aladdin's lamp, your magic lamp? Do you know how to shine up your magic lamp? How to wake it up from within you? Do you know that you can breathe your wishes and desires into it? Imagine that. And do you know that you can talk directly to your magic lamp so that your wishes come true? Well, tonight is a magic conversation from the very beginning to the very end. And who are our panelists? Well, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. We have Beverly Akhurst and Aleksa Wilk. So I'm going to start with Beverly. Tell us about you. I'm excited to know all about you.
All about me? Oh, we don't have time for that.
All about you and how you bring that playfulness into what you do and how you live.
So let's keep this as short as I can because we can all go on forever. But so I teach what I teach everything from a home of yoga, but it's about a holistic practice of experiencing all of life. We've misunderstood yoga as being all the poses, and yoga is the way you show up. It's how you join into life, into consciousness, with each other, with everything that exists. And so I've turned it into more of a holistic practice. And from that, I started with ocean breath yoga, now rhythm of your life. Rhythm being the laws of nature that govern everything within the material realm and how it leads us into relationship. And within that, of course, is everything to do with the heart. One of my teachers, who you would think is not really yoga, he does dissections, has for over 30 years, Gil Headley, talks about the heart in some of the most beautiful ways I've ever heard. As this experience, he goes, you want to see the heart? Here I am. There's no way you can separate the heart from anything because of how it intertwines. And I look at it, the brain and the heart coming together, as he puts it, as a hugging each other. So there's this very intimate relationship. And then the brain, or the heart to the pelvic floor, is this very seductive and gorgeous relationship. And then there's the playful side of us reaching our heart out into the world around us and having friendship. So what I teach is this idea of becoming a sacred experience of that, of treating everything as this play, not the day-to-day to-do list, but trusting that what we're doing in each moment is creating this stage play that we want, creating the relationship we want with everything, with the divine, and bring ourselves back to it so that we don't forget that we're here to find beauty and see it in each other as well.
I think you are going to be a fantastic panelist tonight. And I am so excited to hear how you're going to bring play into the questions that we're going to be posing. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sue.
And Aleksa, how can you introduce yourself in such a way that you bring that piece of it into what you do and how you do what you do, and maybe even how you've changed how you do what you do?
Yeah. Okay. I love what Beverly just shared. And I think that is the ultimate essence, right? That we want to embody. though I'm going to talk about the shadow part of it, like the journey to get there, because even in the last couple of days, when you think about the word heart, it's a really deep word. And like everything within your heart, the depths of who you are is within your heart. And it's kind of scary, right? To really get to that freedom that Beverly's talking about, you have to go within. And even I, the other day, was thinking about that because there's aspects to my heart that I'm like, oh, I'm afraid to explore that.
Mm.
But we talk about being playful with that aspect of yourself, whether it's 1% because you have a really heavy, dense heart, or if you're fully free in your heart, there's an aspect of yourself that still gets to play and be that childlike, have that childlike wonder and really expand into it. And it's just it's a part of everything that I do, because when we never grow old. We grow old in our form, but our heart and our insides remain playful. And so to bring play to everything that I do is just a way of life. And if I ever fall off of it, it's a way for me to be like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? And yeah, that's just it is a true sign of just growth for me, because coming
Wonderful.
home to the heart and that playfulness and that
Is,
expansion and that openness is the goal.
Now, isn't it interesting that both of you are coming from the aspect of heart? I love that. So we have Beverly Akhurst, Aleksa Wilk. I'm Sue Rumack. And I'm a life coach. I'm a channeler. I'm a medium. I'm an energy worker, a light worker, all of those things. I've had a lifetime to perfect all of those. And I can honestly tell you that in the first, I guess until I was 50, my life was all about work. I only knew the work ethic because I started work when I was 15. And I had children by the time I was 21. I had a child and I was married by the time I was 21. And we started a business. We were entrepreneurs. And it was work because we had to survive, right? And then when I was 50, I was on my own. My children had nested. I was a free spirit. And it was my first year coming out of divorce. I hadn't laughed in years. The playfulness, I hadn't experienced playfulness in years. The first time I laughed, I was alone. I was watching an old movie and I laughed so hard I scared myself because I wasn't used to the sound. And the first thing that went through my head was, this is what I've been missing all these years. So one of the reasons that I wanted to bring that playfulness of heart into this conversation, facilitate this conversation, create this conversation, was to give everybody else who's watching opportunities to experience or to be led through playfulness in various types of situations, normal life situations that you as experts, and I as an expert in my field as a life coach, and I became a life coach at age 60. And I've been doing that now for 14 years. So 14. Yeah, 14. So I had to think about that a minute professionally. Okay, so I've embraced that playfulness since I was 50. I've been perfecting it because it brings me back to life. It keeps me young. And I intend to stay young for a lot, decades, more decades than you guys can count. Okay, so let's get started with a little bit of background, okay? So that we can base our questions and our answers off of the background. And this background is for our audience as much as for you. I know I sent the background to you in advance, just so you'd be able to, have a sense of where we were going with this. So when we think of playfulness coming from the heart, we think in 3 dimensions, right? We think of the physical, easy to do. My body is feeling happy. We think of the emotional, which is our mind allowing us to move into that dopamine state of freedom and excitement. And we think of the spiritual, which is where we move from one dimension within ourselves to another dimension within ourselves. right? And these are all interconnected. So the interconnected is an experience of a playful heart. Back to your whole concept with heart for both of you. So if physical play activates the body, emotional play stimulates the heart, right? And spiritual play nourishes the soul. We've got a whole package going on here, right? Together, they create a harmonious and enriching experience that uplifts the person who's experiencing it. And that fosters a sense of well-being and a deeper connection to life. So what we're looking for is that deeper connection to life based on your experience as experts doing what you do. Okay. So we're really going to be looking for those experiences that you could possibly, an exercise perhaps, or a story where you can walk people through the answer to the question. So in essence, using a playful heart involves embracing the full spectrum of human experience, right? And from the simple joys of laughter and movement to the profound connection of spiritual essence of one's being. That's a whole other way of looking at playfulness coming through the heart, right? It's an invitation to explore, and it's an acknowledgement of the beauty that exists in each moment. So we've got the terrain, the environment that we're going to be answering your questions, the questions I'm going to be asking you through. We know the environment we're working with. So, Aleksa, I'm going to ask you first, what is a playful heart to you? Is it mind, body, or is it something else? Or is it all three?
What three? Mind, body, and spirit? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Or something else, that you know that might excite us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like you were explaining, on the physical, you can absolutely experience playfulness for what you think it is, right? What you can rationalize. And again, with the mind, again, what it can rationalize, that's playfulness. But I think true playfulness is on a soul spiritual level, because that's when it surprises you with pure laughter that comes from out of nowhere and is just something you've never heard yourself experience or feel. And that experience right there is something just deep within yourself. It's like it bubbles up. And I think, to answer your question, the spiritual playful heart is the deep depths that we're yearning for or longing for within ourselves, within our life, that when tapped into, it's like a well of just nectar. And it does take time to nurture that nectar, because we can be pulled out of and back to create lessons of, not staying on track, but more like, are you really devoted to this path, right? And to staying playful, even when it's hard. And yeah, that right there is the playful heart that I want to experience.
So should the playful heart be work to get to it? Or should it be random, like, oh my God, there it is. I got to go there. Got to follow that.
Yeah, I love that question. I don't think it should be work, but I do think that in the grand scheme of things, you have to peel back the layers to bring it out. You may witness it at one point, and then you're like, well, how do I bring that out again? And you try to force it. And I think that when you force it, now you're just, achieving that physical playful heart energy, where that soul part of you is probably coming out and being like, hey, would you strip away the fear? Would you strip away the limiting belief? Would you strip away these little things that keep blocking you from your true essence? And that does take work, not in the work that we think it requires in the 3D. But I do think stripping that away allows you to ascend and allows you to really tap into that well I was talking about, just easily and effortlessly, without it being like, oh, hey, I can only tap this when I'm, by myself watching a really great movie or listening to the music that I want, instead of how can you experience this all the time, because I think that there tends to be a switch.
Brilliant. Perfect. perfect segue now over to Beverly. So what is a playful? Thank you, Aleksa. That was a great multi-pieced answer. It took us through a lot of different levels and opened up a lot of doors. I love it. So Beverly, what is a playful heart to you? Is it mind-body thing or is it something else?
Oh, well, here's the first and foremost answer. It's everything. It can't be something else, and it can be that, and it can be that. It's all of it. We are our whole experience of being. So, like you said, Aleksa's answer is perfect because there's so many layers. There's so many levels. That dance of the seven veils that we've heard of, and it's became a thing in like old movies, and that it wasn't about removing clothing. It was about the seven layers of things that we cover ourselves in life that keep us from that place of joy, our Leela, our play that we're in. We've been told that it has to be very serious. But if you look at physical, emotion, spiritual level, is one, not the other? Can they actually be separate things? I don't think so. So having that connection to playfulness, we were babies. We were all children. We all started growing up. That part of us doesn't not exist. It isn't gone. It's somewhere inside of us. We knew how to play. We knew how to let go, how to not judge ourselves. We knew how to grab another's hand of somebody that we just met, say, let's be friends. We knew how to just go out and create mud pies without somebody telling us how to do it. We also knew when we felt joyful and we'd sing out loud before somebody taught us that singing out loud is just, people might look. Yeah. I remember once as a child, I would always be laughing and somebody said, your laugh is too loud. And I stopped laughing. But it doesn't mean I didn't know how to just be joyful, but I covered it. There's the veils that come on. So yeah, we go into that place of these veils and they're just a covering. They're just ethereal. They're something quite thin, but the more you put on, the harder it is to understand that they're thin, that we're not.
Let me ask you then, would you say that the playful heart is a dimension of its own? I know that's going real spiritual, and I'm asking you to think about something you may not have thought about. Is it possibly a dimension of its own? It has its own melody, its own frequency, its own harmony.
It does, and it is. But again, you'll never get me to say it's just, I cannot separate. So here's the heart. To me, it's a joy to also look into the physical form, like literally look inside of it and to also experience all levels of it. So when you look inside our physical body and how the whole nervous system works, and again, I will direct anyone who asks to go to Gil Hedley to really find something beyond just the physical, like this piece of the physical form. But if you look at it, this heart first, the heart winds in like a towel. You can actually unwind the heart right down into the visceral center of the heart, and it unravels and unwinds. And you can take that very same thing and wrap it back in so that it's encased, and you can unroll it again. So it's basically like a towel that's all twisted, and then it twists in on the blood, and the blood is not being pushed, it moves out. But around this heart, you've got these beautiful nerves that come down from the brain through, wrap themselves around. And then from the heart, there's a vagal nerve that connects, and it wraps back up behind and up into the brain. And when you look at it, they're hugging each other. So this heart, it's this stunning thing, and you can see it. You can actually see it. So it's hugging. But then while that's going on, and the heart is reverberating all these rhythms to the external world, just below you've got the lungs wrapped around the heart. So as they breathe, moving together, and then the heart beats this rhythm, sits on top, and I'll show it sits on top of your liver, on top of your stomach. So as it beats, it's beating a rhythm into all these organs. So there are all these different drums joining into like a beautiful dance of drums, drum beats, different rhythms, but it's reverberating
A
through.
drum circle. It's
It's a drum circle internally. And all this is happening together. So there's this hug going on, there's this music going on, there's a rhythm, and we speed up and start to laugh and start to play, and that rhythm increases. That beating of the heart.
Stop you there.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you there because we're going to use all of that as we continue into the rest of the questions.
So I'll stop there and I'll just say, yes, they all, the mind, the body, the spirit, it's doing this together. That's my answer.
Beautiful. I didn't want to cut you short, but I want to move into the other questions because then we tie it all together. Okay.
Yep,
it makes sense for people who are watching.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to take it to the personal level. Both of you have gone to the spiritual and the dimensional and the heart and the science. And as a human being, and I started to tell you a little bit about my story, what I did after that first night when I laughed out loud and scared myself, I decided, and this is for our audience, if you've ever gone to that place where you've had enough seriousness for whatever reason in your life, and now you're released from the seriousness, but you're still stuck in it because you've got patterns in your brain, you've got patterns in your body that would naturally take you to seriousness. So I decided, I think I was 47 or 48 at that point, I decided that I was going to find more laughter in my life. And I was going to find reasons to laugh out loud. So for me, waking up my playful heart was a mind thing. I had to choose to wake up my playful heart. It was a body thing. I had to relearn what it felt like to feel those dopamine releases and those electrical neuron bursts of excitement when I was having a happy moment, a happy heart moment. I had to feel my heart, as you described, Beverly, opening up and then closing and folding around itself and then being hugged, and all the nerves that wake up your whole body. So taking what Beverly said and taking what Aleksa says, what we're going back to as human beings, we're moving back into the human realm and asking ourselves, are we ready to give ourselves permission to experience the playful heart, to make our playful heart that Aladdin's lamp that we breathe excitement into and energy into? And I know in your work, Beverly, and Aleksa, your work, and in my work, in each of our own expert ways, we lead our people, whoever they are, through those experiences. So coming back to the human aspect, it's so hard when we're so excited about what we do on the dimensional levels to kind of remember that our audiences, and I forget this all the time too, need to be reminded at the human level as well. So we're going to try and marry all of that together. The next question, and I think that Beverly has gone really deep into answering this question, and Aleksa, you started as well from within your area of expertise. Science says the heart is an electrical pump. Proven, 100%, no doubt about it. It's got electricity going on. How does this vibrational frequency computer running its own show in our bodies also affect the non-physical energies that affect our love relationships? So let's move this into the love aspect, because we talked about how are we going to make those love relationships playful. I think, Beverly, if you can make it concise so that Aleksa can build on it, so I can close it. Let's see what we can do, because we have no idea what any one of us is going to say. Go ahead, Beverly, unmute and give us your stuff.
So condensed, our heart condensed, which is kind of cool. This is where the blood's coming back in. So before it pushes out. So I will agree that it is electric. I will not agree that it's a pump. That's too utilitarian. I think it's an ebb and flow. I think of it as a tide, an ebb and flow of everything. We create space and everything comes back into that space and moves out. And I think if we start talking about love and relationship, it's connection to everything. So love can be for another, that deeply romantic love. It can be with a child, that deeply filial love of somebody, a love of the forest. And I think that rhythm, that electric magnetic rhythm that you talked about, it meets everything. Our heart is the center of that experience. It's the center between our physical experience and our mental experience. And then all those energies reflect outwards. So they hit ribs and they reverberate back to the heart, telling us about our own experience. They move between the ribs outwards and gather that experience. They move through the tissues, and what others are experiencing comes back and reverberates into us, moves through our tissues to the heart. And I think our heart is that point where everything is red. The brain is assessing, but because of the electromagnetic field that's happening from all those nerves here, we're reading that. So to have love, that playfulness has to come in, because you're always trying to test. If you come into a relationship like this, just I'm going to create this can't move the electromagnetic field as beautifully. But if you relax into it, okay, what's this dance that we're going to have with each other? Can you feel the magnetic connection? Whether again it's with nature, a body of water, an animal, everything will read that energy and again reflect something back to us, send its own energy in. And it's when those energies come together, and I have a feeling you probably know the Heart Math Institute. They've proven that a cell from two different hearts placed in a petri dish together will in very short order start to beat at the same rhythm together.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything around us, if we open to it, get playful and let our own rhythm find a pace that's of value and beauty, I think love becomes this thing of not sexual intimacy. That's piece of it, but that's more of a chemical reaction. It instead becomes this knowing of another by finding a rhythm that we can all function at. And the rhythm moves into voice, into words, into our movements, into just how we assess and connect. And just like the blood within our system that's moved with the heart, we might move away from that love because we need to come back into our own love. That's the internal reverberation. Or we might then feel more the drawing into another, moving like the blood. So if you think about it, we're like a giant heart, all of us, continually ebbing and flowing.
That's exactly what you said at the beginning. And you're bringing it back into that. So in our love relationships, if I'm hearing you right, our entire physicality becomes a vibrational frequency that reaches out, reads, comes back, and then sends out messages and creates a harmonious whole with another person. I'm going to bring Aleksa in now.
Can I just clarify the one thing that you think I said there about yes, I am the heart, but I want to add a layer because Aleksa might take this and run with it too. It's not that just I am fully a heart. I think because everything's a fractal, that every one of us, the earth included, is another fractal of a heart, a heart, a heart, a heart, a heart. So it's a big outwards flow. Yeah.
Perfect. Aleksa, you're up. Do you need me to repeat? Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I have it in front of me, but I'm gonna put a twist on the topic and go off of what you were saying along the lines of I could take this in a whole spiritual dimension, but I'm gonna break this down and even like just like anybody could hear this right now, because in a simple terms, there is this weight of seriousness that you were talking about that I've experienced, and that as a society we experience as a whole. And in the beginning, I was talking about like the kind of the shadow side to this like flaming, playful heart, and how it's, to just jump right in there, it can be scary and it feels so distant, right? And they say in the Tao practices by Master Shigong Sha that the heart center is actually the message center. And with that, I know at one point in my life, most of my life, seriousness weighed over me and took over me. And so when we talk about relationships, and like you were saying, not even just intimate relationships, but just all relationships, because there is love to give to everyone. We're giving love to each other right now. And I couldn't give love because my heart was so guarded. And I think that's something that all of us really have experienced and either are experiencing. And I really want to talk about that right here. And like you said, on the simple level, in the physical form, that most of us are still guarded. And so how can we vibrationally uplift our heart space so that we can project energy onto others that is forming relationships out of love, that is the love that we want to see in our future relationships, in our life, right? And that the high vibration we want and we desire is really just surrounded by density. So when you ask about, I'm just going to repeat the question. Science says the heart is an electric pump. How does this vibrational frequency show up in our bodies and affect our non-physical energy and in our relationships? When our heart is so guarded, we're transmuting vibrational frequencies that are denser. So even though we want love, we're not receiving it, or we're not grasping that playfulness that we're talking about, that everyone's like, yeah, I want that. So what I have to do, I just have to like, act playful all of a sudden. It's like there may be some density around your heart that needs to release and shake up and do some nervous system work and whatever that looks like, so that your loving relationships can start to come into your life the way that you want to see them and come into fruition. And I just really want to talk about that, because as we're talking about the result, this is where you may be at.
I love the way you took what Beverly started and built it in a slightly deeper direction, going slightly sideways, which is perfect because that's what people need to hear. They need to hear both of your aspects. So as a coach, for me, but for me first, forget the coach part. For me first, I found it very hard to trust in playful love a second time, right? So I had to learn how to recognize what I was broadcasting out as an energetic vibration, as a frequency, an electrical frequency that went through, as Beverly said, my heart, out through my bones, out through my flesh, out through the buffer zone between my body and my electrical shield, my safety, my limbic brain shielding, which some people call auric shielding, and then out into the world. So that when people met me for the first time, authentically, they could feel the playfulness and the joy and the curiosity that I was bringing to having met them for the first time, or the second or the third. And it took a long time to recognize, to be able to read what I was broadcasting out and know that it was pushing people away. Once I learned how to recognize that and how to use that vibrational frequency, how to turn it, using breath, using heartbeat, using intention, using permission, talking to myself a lot, it opened me up to having a playful heart that could broadcast non-judgmental acceptance, love, curiosity out and read it coming back correctly. Not what I wanted to hear, not what I wanted to see, but what I was really seeing, so that I could trust myself in a playful, loving relationship. And I could trust the person that I was inviting in at the same time. And that's all about learning to read your body awareness, the signals, the alerts, the physical sensations, not just the sexy ones, but the little warnings, the trust, not quite sure about what I'm getting here. Maybe I need to close down just a little bit. And I learned how to do that. But it took me, because I didn't have anybody teaching me how. It was before people were into somatics. It was before it was a thing. And so over a period of 25 years, right, from the time I divorced until pretty much now, I learned how to modulate what I was picking up, what I was broadcasting, And and I see the world in such a different way. And most of what I see, I see it realistically. I can read what I see and go, okay, this is the reality. And how do I want to approach it? If I want to approach it from a playful perspective, I will. If I want to explore it from that I want to get to know you better, I want to give you a chance to open up and show me who you are relationship wise, then I also create that energetic welcome, that space for them to come in and for us to get to know each other. And it doesn't have to be a lover. It can be a tree. It can be a dog. It could be one of my grandkids who's just having a really bad day, right? Or even one of my kids who's also having her own relationship problems. So how do we affect those non-physical energies that affect our physical energies vibrationally? Permission, asking the questions, opening up. So the third question, where are we for time? We started really late. Wilma, I know you're in the background. We have approximately 15 minutes left on our original schedule. Can we have an extra 15 minutes? Or is this room going to be in use immediately after our conversation? Can you unmute for a moment and just let me know? Can we have an extra 15?
I'm not sure, Sue, but because I think it's set up. It was already set for 1 hour, so I'm not sure we can extend.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. Okay. There are two more questions. I'm going to put the questions out there for our audience to think about for themselves. Then I'm going to invite each of you to talk about yourselves, your businesses, what it is you would like to give our viewers, even on the replay. The links will be there for them to access that. And then if we still have time, we might come back and close with one of the questions. Does that sound okay to the both of you? Okay. So, Aleksa, let's see if you can summarize who you are, where you are, what you do, what you bring to people, and what your offer is. And can you do that in 3 minutes or so?
Absolutely. And you cut
Beautiful.
me off.
I will. I'll raise my green pen. How's that?
I'm ready. This is a good elevator pitch practice.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Aleksa. I'm a sacred designer and a priestess. And so what I bring to my community, to this earthly realm, is bringing people home to themselves by reconnecting them back to God, and God being the source, the universe, the energy that we are created from. And when I say bringing you home, I mean bringing you home to the body home and also your physical home. So I spiritually move through your home and identify the 29 chakras in your home and how to uplift your home so that your spiritual work can be a safe place for you to grow and also uplift your neighborhood and the earth itself. It's a global movement to really shift and heal the planet. There's a lot of people helping the host, our people, but this is a movement to heal the world. But when you start healing your home and you start feeling that vibrational shift, we have offers to help the host, the soul, come home to themselves and peel back those layers, do the inner work, I'll call it, but it's actually through inner temple, and just really start to cultivate that reclamation through connecting to God. And it really, when I say we talk about this playfulness and how this comes or is brought into my work, it's through bringing home that sensual, sexual energy that is part of the divine feminine within us and cultivating that so that you can open up and heal the real wound that we all carry, which is sadly all around and rooted in money and whatever money is to you, which is fear, whatever else worries that you have. And that is my bigger mission, is to help people shed that deep rooted fear of money by connecting back to God and connecting back to their bodies and that sensual feminine energy that's within them. And so I have coaching, I have a membership, and I also have home activation sessions for the home. And that is what I do.
And what's the name of your business?
It's called Soul Home.
Okay. And where are you physically located? And I'm assuming that you're also available remotely.
Yes, I am. I'm in the States and I'm in New Hampshire area. And yeah, you can find me at Alexa's Medicine on Instagram or Facebook.
Fantastic. Now, what are you, and all of your links are going to be dropped into the chat so people can find you. You don't have to worry about putting them there yourself. And what are you giving our audience, our viewers, as a special little something to let them get to know you a bit better?
As a advice, or as what do you mean by that?
Well, some people will give a session that's free, a discovery session, or a conversation, or
So
a
playful.
download of some kind.
Yeah, how about I'll be really playful and say, come DM me and find out. I'll give you something. Tell me you came from this area, come to this platform, and I'll come find out. I'll give you something. Because I love when people drop in my DMs, and I think that's something that I've actually talked about is how in the social media realm, there's a lack of connection in the DMs, and there's always robots. And so I'm not that. Not a robot.
Okay, you're not a robot. Brilliant. Okay, so everybody out there, go find Aleksa Wilk, who is not a robot. Her links are going to be in the comments below this video once it is downloaded or uploaded. Okay, Beverly, you're up. Tell us a little bit about you and tell us the goodies. What you got?
Okay. Well, I have been doing this. I'm like you. I came to this late in life. At 42, I started doing what I do after landing on a cardiac unit for 7 days, after helping care for a father dying from cancer and a lot of things. There was a lot of stress. And that's when it hit me. I went back. They wanted to burn out a piece of my heart. I went back to my play, which is yoga, breath, movement. Never had the operation. Here I am 15 years later. And I now coach and facilitate wellness in the sense of and I usually work with women over 40. I want people to connect back to their truest selves. And that can't happen without play. And play, people think, oh, I have to go be silly. It's like the silliness comes from getting to remember who you are, not getting to know you. You already knew who you were, but everyone told you to ignore that. So we all are remembering. And I use yoga, craniosacral therapy. I have a program, which is funny. Aleksa and I were talking before we started. I have a program called Sacred Living, which is sacred eating, sacred movement, sacred spaces. It's creating this sense of the sacredness around you that lights you up, that connects you to something more than how you think you should be. Not filled with plastic, but connecting to your food, cleaning out your place so it's a place of beauty and excitement. Without beauty, how can we play? Sexual play comes from Kama, and in the West, we created Kama Sutra, which it became a sexual thing, but it was the 64 beauties. What color, smell, light, playfulness between the other and ourselves, but it has to start here. I take people live out into a park near my place. And on the weekend, I had women up to the age of 70 literally crawling, running backwards, doing all this ridiculous stuff. They didn't care who was looking. Sometimes we sing with no music, dance with no music. It's about letting go of determining our lives based on what the external world tells us it should be, so that we can meet the joyful self. And as soon as we allow that, each one of us, myself included, I have to remind myself all the time, I come back into relationship, and everyone does, with not only our truest self, but this flowing, easy space around us with everyone. We stop looking at everyone as if they're judging who we are. And instead we see them and we let go all that wall space that's between us. So again, I do it through forest bathing. I go through people's homes. It can be virtual. It can be live, depending where you are. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So I work with people within the city or come online. There are so many aspects to what I do, because I don't believe, kind of like our bodies or hearts, that we're disconnected from anything. But it is all about finding the doorway into here first. Open the door and discover this home so that you can be at home in life. And my offer to everyone is if they go to my website, rhythmofyourlife.com, I have put on there for the week a little thing where they can sign up and have a 20-minute session with me. And I guarantee it will not end at 20 minutes. If you have a little extra time, I will offer a little extra time, because it is the play of interaction and learning about the other, that I don't think anyone's the same. So what I offer to each person is specifically about what I feel about them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Both of you are such beautiful hearts, beautiful souls. And you can just feel that just rolling right off of you. I'm Sue Rumack. I am located in Toronto, Canada. Everything I do is actually online. I don't see people one-on-one live because I'm global. And my specialty is working with empaths. I teach empaths how to use that brain energy, the limbic brain, the body, the breath, all of that to protect and shield themselves from unwanted, damaging, traumatic energies coming from the world. I teach them how to protect themselves so that they can now take themselves out into the world and become that playful energy, become that joyful person, because they are safe within themselves. I work with professional women who are verging on burnout because of their empathic overwhelm. And I've been doing this a very long time. I love energy. We do some crying in some of our sessions, but we do more laughing. And by the end of our time together, vibrational uplift, vibrational excitement, and a whole new life perspective comes together. Identity. So if this is of interest to you, you can visit my website. The links will be below. You can also check online for Calm the Overwhelm coaching services. So simple, not even spiritual in the sound of it, but it is entirely spiritual. And I offer a 60 to 90 minute, like Beverly says, it just keeps on going if it keeps on going. A life blueprint, a next steps life blueprint. It's a written transcript of our conversation for the next steps that you could take if you chose to take them. And if you choose to work with me, wonderful. If you choose not to work with me, but you've got that blueprint, you can take it to any other practitioner that suits you. And I'm fine with that. So that's who I am. I'm also a host with sacredyou.love, a host of a tribal group called Life Force Activators. How perfect is that with tonight's conversation? And I look forward to seeing you on sacredyou.love, who is the host of these wonderful Ignite, Inspire, and I never get it right. Okay, I'm going to read it. Okay. Inspire, Innovate, and Ignite panel conversations. Now, if you're not yet a member of Sacred You, if you go to sacredyou.love, just click on that, just type it in, click on it, and there will be links below for you to do that as well. We're offering a $1 2-week trial. Everything. These conversations, close to 30 different tribes that you can check in on and just see what they offer. You can watch the replays of all the sessions. You can watch a year's worth of these conversations as well, which are completely separate. There are courses. There are all kinds of freebies. There is so much on so many levels. Anything you want, you will find it there. And if you love it, $1 for 2 weeks, what can you get for $1? Not even a coffee. You're muted, Beverly.
That's $1 Australian dollar. Really cheap for people in America.
$1 Australian dollar. Exactly. If you love us, don't do anything. You'll roll over into a $20 membership, $20 a month that just keeps on going until you unsubscribe. Simple as that. If you don't want to continue with us at any point in time, just find the unsubscribe button on the website, unsubscribe. You're done. So, Beverly, let me ask you, are you a host at this point?
No, I'm putting stuff together to get online. I had to make sure my schedule is free enough, but I will be getting online to do it.
You better join us because you are going to be amazing.
I've been waiting for the space and it's coming up. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Aleksa, how about you? Are you also a member or a host of any tribes on Sacred You yet.
No, me and Beverly were chatting, and I have talked with Sophia a few times, and I just I haven't felt called to create anything yet, because as I'm, refining everything, I don't want to put anything out. And
Got
so
it.
with if I'm meant to be in the space, I will, but it's a wonderful community. It has so much resources and amazing women.
Yeah.
A lot of, I don't know if there's any men on there, but a lot of amazing women.
A couple.
Okay.
Most it's like 99%.
I know,
women.
which is great,
But-
which is so great. They're amazing women who
Yeah.
are all very resourceful. And so I
Incredible.
just am very happy to be part of these panels, because it's a great way to tap into the community.
It is an amazing way to tap into the community. When I first joined, and we've got 1 minute left. When I first joined, I joined as a member because Sophia, nobody, if you folks are watching, don't know Sophia, you got to meet Sophia. Okay. She is one of 2 founders of this entire thing. And she said, come on, just join. It's like a buck. I went, okay. And I kind of fiddled around by back then it was 3 weeks. And I fiddled around in the different communities. And then she and I had another couple of conversations. And she said, you should be a host. And I went, uh-huh. And she says, no, seriously, you should be a host. And so I said, what am I going to be a host of? She says, a tribe. And I said, okay, I'll be a host of a tribe. And I said, what kind of tribe? And she said, I don't know. What kind of tribe do you want to be a host of? And I went to my guides. Okay. My guides, and I call them guys. Okay. Not guides, guys. Okay, guys, what are we going to call this tribe? And instantly came back Life Force Activators. And what was it all about? It's all about building life force. It just gets more and more and more joyful as you go along. And so it just made sense. And that's what I've been doing every 2 weeks. I have a tribe meeting every 2 weeks. If you want to find out about me, go to the tribes. I think Wilma is going to put my tribal link in there as well. Yeah. So you can find the courses that I'm offering. You can find the business directory. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in there, plus everything else that we talked about. So we are now we did it. We're at 9 o'clock and 1 minute. So I would like to thank Beverly and Aleksa for having brought their brilliance, their wonderfulness, their joyfulness, their playful hearts, and their wonderful take on how they explain it from such different perspectives. I think it's incredible. I'd like to thank everybody who's watching for having joined us. If you need more information about sacredyou.love, it will be in the comments below. And I will see you on the next panel, because I think I'm up for one in a few weeks.
Can I just say thank you for the beautiful topic, Sue? It was so much fun to dive into.
Well, you know what? It was fun to have the 2 of you. We had the right people, obviously, talking tonight, and you brought yourself so beautifully to the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody, and see you on the next. What are we? Inspire, innovate, and ignite. Good night, all.